For 80 years, no one has touched Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak, a record so untouchable it defies belief. But how good was Joe DiMaggio actually isn't just about flawless numbers. How did a quiet kid from a San Francisco fishing family become the Yankee Clipper, gliding past poverty and pressure to change the shape of baseball forever? Behind the legend lies the cost of perfection, and the story doesn't start with the streak. It begins long before. So, what does it really take to turn a boy who hated the smell of fish into America's symbol of grace and invincibility? Giuseppe Paolo DiMaggio was born in Martinez, California in 1914, the eighth of 9 children in a family that traced its roots to the rocky coast of Sicily. His father, Giuseppe, was a fisherman by trade, and from the moment Joe could walk, the expectation was clear. Every son would work the boats. The DiMaggios moved to San Francisco's North Beach neighborhood when Joe was just a year old, settling among the tight-knit Italian community clustered around Fisherman's Wharf. Life revolved around the tides, the catch, and the heavy, lingering smell of fish that seemed to cling to every surface. For the DiMaggio boys, the wharf was both a workplace and a proving ground. Tom and Michael, the older brothers, hauled nets and cleaned decks without complaint. But Joe dreaded the mornings when he'd be summoned to the docks. The stench of dead fish made him gag. He'd do anything to avoid the endless scrubbing of the boats. His father saw this as laziness, calling him good for nothing in Sicilian and demanding he toughen up. Joe's mother, Rosalia, tried to shield her son, but tradition was a force as strong as the Pacific. Baseball offered the only escape. At 10, Joe found his way to the North Beach playground, where he played third base just to stay off the boats. The game wasn't a passion at first, it was simply better than the alternative, but it became a refuge, a space where the smell of fish was replaced by the crack of the bat and the rhythm of infield chatter. Joe watched the older kids, studying how they moved, how they swung. He wasn't the loudest or the fastest, but he was the most precise. Every throw, every swing, every step in the outfield was measured and clean. While his father grumbled about wasted hours, Joe chased something that felt just out of reach, a way to prove he was more than the boy who flinched at the family trade. By his early teens, Joe's hands were calloused from the bat, not the nets. He sold newspapers for a while, drifting from baseball, but the pull of the diamond returned when his brother Vince signed with the San Francisco Seals. The possibility that baseball could be more than a pastime, maybe even a way out, lit a fire in Joe that no family argument could extinguish. He began to practice with a new purpose, hitting line drives until his swing was as smooth as a skipping stone. Each afternoon, as the fog rolled in over the bay, Joe DiMaggio was already imagining a life beyond the docks, one where the only thing he'd ever have to smell was the leather of a well-worn glove. The San Francisco Seals roster in 1933 read like a local directory, but one name started drawing scouts from all over the country. Joe DiMaggio, just 18, stepped into the Pacific Coast League and started a hitting streak that would stretch across 61 straight games. That number still stands as a PCL record. It wasn't luck. DiMaggio's swing was already a thing of beauty, short, level, and so efficient that teammates joked he could roll out of bed and line a double into the gap. The streak turned heads far beyond the bay. Newspapers started running daily updates. Yankee scouts, always on the lookout for the next big thing, circled his name in red ink. The Seals sold his contract to New York in November 1934. The Yankees, always hungry for another cornerstone, saw something different in DiMaggio. He wasn't loud like Ruth or brash like Gehrig. He was all business, gliding across center field and making the hardest plays look routine. After a final year in San Francisco to recover from a knee injury, DiMaggio made his Bronx debut on May 3, 1936. He wasted no time. That rookie season, he hit .323, launched 29 home runs, and drove in 125 runs. No rookie in Yankees history had posted numbers like that. He didn't just fit in, he transformed the lineup. Lou Gehrig called him the best young hitter he'd ever seen. Opposing pitchers tried to rattle him, but DiMaggio's expression rarely changed. He moved with the same calm in the outfield, cutting off balls in the gap, never wasting a step. That first year, he led the league's outfielders with 22 assists. The nickname arrived quickly. The Yankee Clipper, a nod to the sleek ocean liners that crossed the Atlantic with speed and style. In a city that demanded spectacle, DiMaggio offered something rarer, perfection without showmanship. The Yankees won the pennant, and the rookie from North Beach was already the quiet heartbeat of a new dynasty. May 15th, 1941. A single to left at Yankee Stadium, just another line in the box score. But by the end of May, every newspaper in New York was tracking Joe DiMaggio's every at-bat. What started as a quiet streak turned into a daily drama. Fans stopped what they were doing to crowd around radios. Sports writers began calling it the biggest story in the country. By mid-June, the Yankees center fielder had hit safely in 30 straight games, already a club record, but now the pressure was building. Every swing, every pitch, every defensive shift felt like it could break the spell. Broadcasters interrupted programs just to announce, DiMaggio got his hit. At ballparks, crowds grew restless when he stepped to the plate, holding their breath until the ball found grass. The numbers became almost unbelievable. Over the streak, DiMaggio batted .408, racking up 91 hits in 223 at-bats. Pitchers tried everything. Fastballs up, curveballs away, nothing worked. He struck out only 5 times during the run, making each plate appearance a masterclass in discipline. The record everyone whispered about belonged to George Sisler, 41 straight games. By late June, DiMaggio was closing in fast, and the tension in every stadium was thick enough to taste. It wasn't just the fans. Even opposing teams felt the weight. Infielders shaded a step closer, outfielders played deeper, managers barked signals, but the result rarely changed. Day after day, the streak lived on. The country, already anxious about the world beyond the ballpark, found something to root for, something steady, something perfect. And with every game, the anticipation only grew. In February 1943, Joe DiMaggio traded Yankee pinstripes for Army khaki, leaving behind a $43,750 salary for $50 a month. He was 28, at the height of his powers, but the war didn't care about batting titles or World Series rings. For 3 seasons, the game's most reliable star belonged to the U.S. Army Air Force. Officially, he was a physical training instructor and morale man, playing on military teams, posing for photos, shaking hands with generals. Unofficially, he was a symbol, proof that even America's golden boys would set aside glory for duty. The price wasn't just measured in lost numbers. Military life wore on him in ways the box scores never showed. Stomach ulcers landed him in the hospital. He missed the rhythm of the season, the click of spikes on concrete, the private rituals that kept his nerves in check. The Army wanted DiMaggio the legend, not DiMaggio the man. Off the field, his marriage to Dorothy Arnold dissolved under the weight of distance and headlines. When he returned to the Yankees in 1946, the numbers dipped. .290, still good, but the edge had dulled. The war had taken more than at-bats. It had carved out a piece of his prime. After baseball, the glare never faded. In 1954, DiMaggio married Marilyn Monroe, the most famous woman in the world. Their union was a media circus. Flashbulbs, crowds, endless speculation. He longed for quiet, but the spotlight followed them everywhere. The marriage lasted just 9 months, undone by fame, by differences neither could bridge. For all his stoic grace, DiMaggio paid for his perfection, with his body, his privacy, and the hope that love could be as steady as his swing. Joe DiMaggio's numbers don't just impress. They puzzle anyone who cares about baseball's fine print. Over 13 seasons, he hit .325, belted 361 home runs, and struck out only 369 times. That's almost a 1-to-1 ratio, power meeting precision in a way the game has rarely seen. Most sluggers rack up strikeouts chasing those big swings. DiMaggio? He kept his swing short, his eye sharp, and his approach patient, refusing to give away at-bats. In more than 7,600 plate appearances, he never struck out more than 39 times in a single year. Even as pitchers tried to outthink him, he stayed within himself, never overswinging, never pressing. Every at-bat was a lesson in efficiency. Drive the ball, put it in play, get on base. The numbers tell the story of a hitter who made the hard look simple and the rarest kind of greatness look routine. No one has come close to touching DiMaggio's streak. Not Pete Rose, not Paul Molitor, not even Tony Gwynn in the era of video scouting and advanced training. Since 1941, the longest major league hitting streak is 44 games, 12 short of DiMaggio's mark. Modern hitters face fresh relievers nearly every night, with managers deploying bullpen arms specifically to end streaks. In DiMaggio's day, starters often pitched into the ninth, giving hitters a chance to adjust. Now a hitter might face 3 or 4 different pitchers in a single game, each with a different look and velocity. The pressure is heavier too. Every at-bat during a long streak is tracked on television, on social media, dissected by analysts in real time. It's not just about talent, it's about surviving a spotlight that never blinks. The combination of consistency, focus, and circumstance that carried DiMaggio to 56 has never been repeated. And in today's game, it's hard to imagine it ever will be. Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak in 1941 remains the longest in Major League Baseball history, a record set over 80 years ago. Across a career interrupted by 3 years of military service during World War II, DiMaggio posted a .325 lifetime average, hit 361 home runs, and struck out just 369 times in over 7,600 plate appearances. He won 3 MVP awards and helped the Yankees secure 9 World Series titles, becoming a symbol of consistency and efficiency. Yet, questions persist. How many more records might he have set without the war? What did his relentless pursuit of perfection cost him personally? DiMaggio's impact reaches beyond numbers. His name appears in songs and cultural references decades after his final game. In an era defined by change and challenge, the evidence shows that Joe DiMaggio set a standard of grace and steadiness that remains unmatched in baseball history.